Let's rewind to the summer of 2011, Westchester, New York. It's the kind of quiet, leafy suburban neighborhood where you might leave your bike in the driveway overnight and expect it to be there in the morning. An environment that feels inherently safe and isolated from the city on the horizon. I had just turned 13. My friends and I were spending a sunny afternoon in my oversized backyard, doing exactly what 13-year-olds did back then. We were burning off leftover birthday cake by play wrestling on the grass, mimicking our favorite WWE moves. My parents weren't home. They had left me with a simple rule. I could have friends over as long as we all stayed on the property. We thought we had the entire place to ourselves. We were operating under a complete illusion of secured isolation. But right in the middle of our wrestling match, I happened to look up at my parents' second-floor bedroom window. Through the heavy glare of the afternoon sun, I saw a person standing there, looking down at us. Then they stepped back into the shadows. In an instant, that baseline of suburban safety evaporated. There was a person inside my house who was absolutely not supposed to be there. I immediately had to stop playing a game and start evaluating a very real, unknown threat. I was staring at a total information vacuum. I knew my parents were gone, but I couldn't immediately jump to the worst-case scenario. I needed to identify the shape in the window without causing an unnecessary panic. My first move was to keep things quiet. I called a timeout and told my friends I was just going inside to see who was home. I kept my voice entirely casual, making a deliberate choice to maintain control of the environment and keep them calm. I walked through the back door and started running down the list. I called out my sister's name, called my mom's, and my dad's. Nobody answered. The silence inside felt different from an empty house. It was a heavy, deliberate quiet, the first confirmed evidence that the safety of my environment had been compromised. Under sudden stress, the human brain desperately wants to rationalize away fear. It will try to build a logical bridge back to safety. So I started systematically eliminating every non-threatening possibility. I went straight to the landline in the den and dialed my mom's cell phone. No answer. I dialed my dad. Nothing. The logical hope was that they had simply returned home and left their phones in the car. To verify that, I moved to the front of the house and looked out the window. The driveway was completely empty. My parents definitely weren't home. As those comforting explanations fell apart, new data arrived. From the floor directly above me, the floorboards creaked. This was the rhythmic sound of weight shifting across wood, a slow, human movement coming from the room directly overhead.
Brain grabbed onto the last available lifeline. It had to be my sister. Maybe she came home early and had her headphones in. I walked to the bottom of the main staircase and called her name one last time. I was doing everything possible to avoid the truth. We will exhaust every single logical, safe explanation to protect ourselves from accepting the reality of imminent danger. But the danger was there, and it was listening. I looked up the staircase. Protruding slightly from behind the wall at the very top landing was a bare foot. It clearly belonged to a grown man, and there were no men in my family who should have been inside that house. Then the foot twitched and pulled back slightly behind the corner. That tiny movement revealed his intent. The intruder was actively hiding, and he was waiting for me. This diagram illustrates the severe spatial disadvantage I was caught in. There is a strict line of sight from the top landing straight down to the bottom steps. If I suddenly turned and sprinted, the rapid motion would immediately be visible to the person at the top, and he had the high ground. I turned and walked back down the hallway at a completely normal, unhurried pace. I focused on making my movements look routine, signaling to whoever was watching that they hadn't been discovered yet. That decision to maintain a normal pace prevented an immediate confrontation. By the time I reached the end of the hallway, I was out of his line of sight and closer to the back door, allowing me to exit the house before he realized his position was compromised. The moment I cleared the back door, I bolted. I grabbed the office phone, alerted my friends, and dialed 911. Right as I was talking to the operator, my friend pointed up. The figure had moved again, this time standing in my bedroom window, watching us from a different angle. I gave the dispatcher our address and stayed on the line. Because we were in Westchester, the response time was incredibly fast. Within minutes, officers were pushing through the backyard gate and heading inside. Soon after, the officers walked out with a man in handcuffs. He was half-dressed, wobbly, and slurring profanities. Seeing him clearly intoxicated and completely unstable validated every instinct I had. This was a highly volatile, real threat that had been stalking through my home. As for how he bypassed our security, He didn't break a window or pick a lock. He simply walked through a back door that someone had forgotten to lock. The integrity of any environment relies entirely on the strength of its physical boundaries. A house is only a fortress if the perimeter holds. I got lucky because I happened to look up at the right time, but luck is a terrible security strategy. Lock your doors. Every single door, every single time.